When Allah protects a woman, His protection wraps around her in ways the world cannot always see but cannot deny. She becomes a vessel of quiet strength, guided by a light that shields her even when she doesn't realize it. There is a calmness in her heart that confuses those who try to break it, because her refuge is not in people. It is in the one who controls the hearts of people. She walks through trials with a dignity that is not borrowed from the world, but rooted in her connection with Allah. Her silence carries more weight than the noise of those who plot against her. Her tears are never wasted. They water the seeds of divine support. She is moved away from people who wish her harm, sometimes abruptly, sometimes gently. Yet always perfectly timed, she is given intuition that whispers, "This is not for you," saving her from what she once begged for. Her worth is not measured by those who leave, but by the one who never does. And every closed door becomes proof that Allah Himself is guarding her path. She doesn't need to fight loudly, defend herself constantly, or seek validation endlessly, because Allah fights for the hearts that rely on Him. A woman protected by Allah is not bulletproof, she is faith-proof. Tests may touch her, but evil cannot claim her. Darkness may surround her, but it can never dim the nur placed within. And when the world tries to harm her, Allah responds with a protection far stronger than anything the world could ever create. A protected woman is guided by a spiritual intuition that warns her against harmful people. An intuition that is not born from trauma, fear, or overthinking, but from a connection with Allah that sharpens her inner vision. This intuition is a type of divine gift. It's a subtle whisper in the heart that gently pulls her away from what is not good for her, even when she cannot logically explain why. She may not have evidence, she may not have clear reasons, but something within her feels unsettled. Something inside quietly unsettled. This person is not safe for your soul. And that inner guidance is often the very thing that saves her before danger even arrives. This intuition appears in the smallest moments, a conversation that suddenly feels off, a comment that unsettles her spirit, or a presence that disrupts her peace. When Allah protects her, He places a sensitivity in her heart that reacts to the unseen intentions of people. She may smile politely, she may remain respectful, but deep within she knows not to give certain people access to her inner world. She becomes aware that not every hand extended toward her is meant to lift her. Not every shoulder offered is meant to support her. Not every face that smiles is truly smiling for her. And because her reliance is on Allah, not the validation of people, she trusts this inner signal even when others dismiss it. Sometimes this intuition shows up as discomfort, a heaviness around certain individuals that she cannot shake. Other times it appears as a sudden clarity, a realization that a person's words don't match their energy, that their actions don't align with their promises. This clarity does not make her harsh or suspicious, it makes her wait. She learns to distinguish between kindness and manipulation, between softness and weakness, between being patient and being used. Allah doesn't let her heart settle where her soul would suffocate. A protected woman may even find herself losing interest in someone she once admired, or becoming distant from someone she once trusted deeply. To the outside world, this may look confusing or unexpected, but within her heart she knows Allah is moving her away. The separation may hurt, the distance may feel heavy, but her soul feels lighter the moment she steps away. That is divine protection in its purest form. Allah removing her from someone long before their true intentions could wound her. Her intuition is not just a warning system, it is a guidance system. It leads her toward people who uplift her, conversations that bring clarity, relationships that draw her closer to Allah, and environments that nourish her spiritual and emotional well-being. She becomes attuned to what drains her and what strengthens her. She recognizes who speaks to her value and who attempts to diminish it. She feels the difference between someone who approaches her with sincerity and someone who approaches her with selfishness. This inner knowing is a blessing, but it is also a responsibility. She learns to honor it. Because when Allah protects someone, He expects them to walk away when the signs are shown. He places the warning in her heart, but she must take the step. And when she does, she begins to see how many storms she has avoided simply by trusting what her heart whispered long before her mind understood. A woman protected by Allah is not easily lured by sweet words or empty promises. Her intuition sees beyond the surface into the intention. Someone may speak beautifully, yet her heart feels restless. Someone else may speak simply, yet her heart finds peace. That peace is a sign that Allah has placed her near what is good and away from what is harmful. This protection does not mean she will never encounter harmful people. Rather, it means harmful people will never be able to truly harm her spirit, because she is shown the signs early. She may meet them, but she will not stay with them. She may listen, but she will not absorb their poison. She may be tested, but she will not be defeated. Her intuition is not paranoia. It is divine mercy. It is the unseen shield Allah places between her heart and the intentions of others. It is the quiet voice that tells her when to stay and when to walk away, when to trust and when to protect her boundaries, when to speak and when to remain silent. It is the hand of Allah guiding her footsteps, guarding her heart, and keeping her soul safe from those who were never meant to be close to her. And this is the beauty of divine protection. She is not guided by fear. She is guided by light. Allah distances her from relationships and situations that would damage her soul, not as a punishment, not as a loss, but as a form of deep, unseen mercy. Sometimes this distancing feels confusing, even painful. It may look like unanswered prayers, sudden changes, unexpected endings, or people leaving without giving her closure. But with time, she begins to understand that Allah removes what is harmful long before she can see the truth with her own eyes. This separation is not a rejection of her worth, it is a protection of her heart. It is Allah saying, "Akh, your soul is too precious for this, and I will not allow you to settle where your spirit would break." This distance can appear in many forms. A friendship that slowly fades. A relationship that collapses overnight. A person she loved who becomes distant. A place that once felt like home suddenly feeling heavy. Plans that fall apart at the very last moment. Opportunities slipping through her fingers without explanation. All of these moments can feel like the world is shifting beneath her feet, yet in reality, it is Allah realigning her path so her soul remains safe. When Allah protects her, He does not allow her to stay where she is not valued, respected, or spiritually nourished. Sometimes He closes doors she begged Him to open because He knows what she does not. He hears conversations she never heard. He sees intentions she could not see. He knows the unseen wounds that would have been inflicted on her had she stayed, so He pulls her away, gently when she listens, forcefully when she does not, but always lovingly. In the beginning, she may resist the distance. Her heart may struggle to accept why something she cared about is slipping away. She may question herself, blame herself, or feel abandoned. But Allah is not abandoning her, He is saving her. He is removing her from environments that would drain her spirit, relationships that would suffocate her emotional health, and people who would weaken her connection to Him. What she perceives as loss is actually protection in disguise. Sometimes the distancing comes through conflict, disagreements, discomfort, or emotional tension that she cannot ignore. These are signs that her soul is not meant to stay there. Others stay there. It comes through a quiet withdrawal, communication naturally fading, feelings changing, paths drifting apart. These are signs that Allah is releasing her gently, without breaking her heart more than necessary. There are moments When she looks back and realizes that the very thing she cried for was the thing that would have destroyed. She sees how the people she wanted to keep close would have dimmed her light, how the places she wanted to stay would have limited her growth, and how the opportunities she thought were perfect would have led her away from Allah. She sees how every loss held a lesson, how every distance carried wisdom, and how every separation was ultimately a rescue. Allah's protection is not always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet shift, a subtle discomfort, a feeling that something is no longer right for her. And when He wants her to move, He unsettles her heart. He removes the sweetness from places that are no longer safe. He makes conversations feel heavy, environments feel draining, and certain relationships feel spiritually distant. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of divine intervention. A woman protected by Allah learns to trust this process. She understands that when Allah removes someone or something, He is clearing space for peace, clarity, and higher purpose. She learns that letting go does not weaken her, it frees her. She begins to recognize that not every person is meant to stay, not every love is meant to last, and not every opportunity is meant for her soul. What is meant for her will never require her to compromise her values or dim her faith. She also learns that distance is not always physical. Sometimes it is emotional or spiritual. She may be surrounded by people yet feel disconnected because Allah is protecting her inner world. He shields her heart from attaching to what would later hurt her. He prevents her soul from investing in what is temporary, false, or harmful. He creates just enough distance for her to realign herself with Him. And then, slowly, she begins to notice something begins. Every time Allah distances her from what would have damaged her, He brings her closer to something better, better peace, better clarity, better relationships, better faith. He replaces loss with wisdom, heartbreak with strength, confusion with insight, and fear with trust. She becomes the woman she was always meant to be, strong, centered, spiritually anchored, and protected. This distancing, though painful at times, is one of the greatest signs of His love, because Allah does not just protect her body. He protects her soul. He guards her heart, her dignity, her worth, and her destiny. And once she learns to trust His way, she no longer fears who leaves or what ends. She knows that anything that takes her away from Allah was never meant to stay, and anything that brings her closer to Him will never be taken away. She carries a calm, resilient heart rooted in trust rather than fear. This calmness is not something she was born with, and it is not the result of a life free from pain or disappointment. It is a calmness shaped by storms, storms she thought would break her, storms she believed she could never rise from, storms that left her trembling in the beginning but stronger in the end. Over it all, she learned that fear exhausts the soul, but trust strengthens it. Fear shackles the heart, but trust frees it. Fear whispers worst-case scenarios into her mind, but trust reminds her that nothing happens outside the wisdom and mercy of Allah. And so her heart lives in a different rhythm, one defined by surrender rather than anxiety. This resilience doesn't mean she never feels afraid. She does. She feels the weight of uncertainties. She feels the sting of loss. She feels the pressure of expectation, but fear no longer dictates her choices. It no longer has authority over her emotions. She feels fear, but she doesn't live in it. She experiences worry, but she does not bow to it. Her heart responds differently because she has learned to anchor herself to something eternal. She trusts the one who sees the path she cannot see. She trusts the one who knows the hearts she cannot read. She trusts the one who can protect her from harm in ways she may never witness or understand. Her calmness is not weakness. It is spiritual strength. The world often mistakes silence for surrender and gentleness for fragility, but she knows the truth. Her strength comes from knowing she doesn't need to carry everything alone. She leans into the one who never becould, who never overlooks her pain, who never abandons her in the middle of difficulty. This reliance gives her a quiet confidence. She doesn't need to fight every battle. She chooses her battles carefully, trusting that Allah fights those she cannot. She doesn't panic when life shifts because she knows that what is written for her will meet her and what is not written will pass her by without touching her soul. A heart rooted in trust sees life differently. She notices blessings where others see burdens. She finds lessons where others see setbacks. She recognizes protection where others only see loss. Even during hardships, she feels held. Even in uncertainty, she senses direction. Even in silence, she knows Allah is speaking to her heart in ways the world cannot hear. When something does not work out, she does not crumble the way she once did. She pauses, breathes, and whispers, there must be a reason. And that reason often unfolds later in ways more beautiful than she expected. This calm heart also changes the way she deals with people. She no longer reacts impulsively to negativity. She no longer allows others to disturb her inner peace so easily. She no longer gives emotional power to those who do not deserve a place in her heart. Instead, she chooses patience. She chooses grace. She chooses silence when anger would have been easier. This is not because she is incapable of defending herself. It is because she trusts Allah to defend her better than anyone else could. Her resilience allows her to bend without breaking. Life may shake her, but it cannot uproot her. Trials may challenge her, but they cannot destroy her. People may disappoint her, but they cannot steal her worth. She rises again each time, not because she has superhuman strength, but because she knows she is never rising alone. Every fall becomes a chance to rely on Allah more deeply. Every tear becomes a form of purification. Every setback becomes a doorway to something written with greater wisdom. This trust becomes her spiritual shield. It protects her from overthinking, from despair, from panic, from rushing into harmful decisions. It keeps her centered and grounded. When the world pulls at her in 100 different directions, she returns to her anchored but says, Allah is with me. And from that belief, a calmness blossoms, a calmness that cannot be stolen, shaken, or manipulated. She carries this calm heart into her relationships, her challenges, her ambitions, and her prayers. She knows that nothing meant for her will be delayed, and nothing not meant for her will ever stay. She knows that Allah writes her story with precision. And even if she does not understand the chapters as they of the chapters, she trusts the author completely. In the end, her calmness is not the absence of storms. It is the presence of trust. It is the quiet realization that no matter what happens, she is never alone. And this realization becomes the strongest foundation her heart could ever stand upon. Her dignity remains intact even when others attempt to break or belittle her. This dignity is not arrogance, pride, or stubbornness. It is the quiet, unshakable awareness of her worth as a servant of Allah. It is an inner nobility that does not crumble even under the weight of insults, betrayal, mockery, or unfair treatment. People may misunderstand her, judge her, or try to diminish her value, but her dignity does not come from their perception. It comes from her connection with the one who created her. And what Allah honors, no human being can degrade. This dignity is tested not when life is gentle, but when life becomes harsh. She learns the depth of her strength in moments when others attempt to take advantage of her kindness, twist her intentions, or silence her voice. Instead of reacting with bitterness or desperation, she remains centered. She refuses to let the behavior of others pull her into a place of pettiness or revenge. She understands that her worth is not something she needs to prove. It simply is, because Allah has already affirmed it is. There are times when people try to belittle her through their words. They may speak to her with condescension, make her feel small, or disregard her thoughts and feelings. They may attempt to make her doubt her intelligence, her choices, But she has learned that words have no authority over her identity unless she grants them power. So she listens with patience, responds with wisdom, and walks away with grace, carrying herself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that Allah sees everything, including the intentions behind every tongue. Then there are moments when people try to break her through their actions, betrayal, dishonesty, manipulation, or broken promises. These moments could easily harden her heart or make her question her own goodness, but instead of letting the behavior of others rewrite her character, she holds onto her dignity. She acknowledges her pain but refuses to let it define her. She allows herself to hurt without letting the hurt transform her into someone she is not. Her dignity lies in choosing integrity even when others choose deceit, in choosing kindness even when others choose cruelty, in choosing maturity when others choose chaos. Her dignity is also preserved through her boundaries. A woman with self-respect does not allow others to walk over her. She may be soft, but she is not weak. She may forgive, but she does not tolerate mistreatment. She may be patient, but she knows when patience becomes self-harm. She understands that protecting her dignity is part of her amana to her own soul. So she sets limits, not out of anger, but out of self-awareness. She steps away from conversations that poison her peace. She distances herself from relationships that diminish her value. She walks out of environments that are unworthy of her presence. This strength does not mean she is emotionless. She feels deeply. She gets hurt. She cries. She questions. But even in her lowest moments, she carries a kind of grace that comes from knowing that Allah does not allow any injustice to go unnoticed. She may choose silence in the face of harshness, not because she has no reply, but because she knows that Allah is the best of judges. And sometimes the most powerful response is the dignity of restraint. People may try to shame her, but she refuses to internalize their insults. They may try to make her feel inferior, but she refuses to shrink herself to fit their limitations. They may try to dim their limitations, but she understands that her light is not meant to please people. It is meant to serve Allah. So she keeps shining, and that shine often frustrates those who wish to see her break. Her dignity also protects her from seeking validation from the wrong places. She does not bend her principles to gain approval. She does not compromise her values to be accepted. She does not trade her soul for temporary affection or attention. She knows that anything gained at the cost of her dignity is not a gain at all. As she grows, she realizes something profound. Dignity is not just about how she carries herself in public. It is about how she carries herself in private. It is about the prayers she makes when no one is watching. It is about the way she speaks to herself when her heart empties. It is about choosing self-respect when no one would blame her for falling apart. It is about holding on to her moral compass even when no one else does. And this dignity is not something she guards alone. Allah guards it for her. He lifts her in moments when others attempt to push her down. He honors her sincerity when others fail to see it. He restores what others tried to take. He brings justice in ways she never expected. He writes her story in a way that turns every insult into elevation, every setback into strength, and every attempt to break her into a reason for her rise. Her dignity, therefore, is not just a personal trait. It is a divine gift, and no matter who tries to belittle her, Allah ensures that she remains unshaken. Her setbacks become shields. Allah blocks what is not written for her. This truth is something she begins to understand only after experiencing enough disappointments to realize that not every failure is actually a failure. Some things fall apart because they were never meant to hold her. Some opportunities disappear because they were traps in disguise. Some relationships end because staying in them would have dimmed her soul. And some doors close because what lies behind them would have harmed her heart, her faith, or her future. What looks like a barrier from the outside is often a shield from within, an act of divine protection so subtle that only hindsight can reveal its wisdom. At first, these setbacks confuse her. She wonders why something she worked so hard for slipped away. She questions why the timing felt perfect yet the outcome was denied. She struggles to understand why Allah would let her come so close to something only to pull it away. But slowly, life begins to show her the reasons. Reasons she could not have seen earlier. Reasons she was not emotionally ready to accept. Reasons that were hidden behind the curtain of the unseen. And she starts to realize that every redirection was mercy, not misfortune. Sometimes Allah blocks her plans by letting something collapse suddenly. A job she thought she secured, a person she trusted who walks away, a project she invested in that goes nowhere. Although it may sting, the collapse is intentional. Allah allowed it to crumble, so something harmful inside it would never reach her. She sees the surface while Allah sees the depths. She sees the moment while Allah sees the outcome. So, He removes what is not meant to be part of her journey, even if her heart temporarily aches from the loss. Other times, the setback is gentle, a feeling of discomfort, a sense that she should wait, a strange delay that seems like an inconvenience but is actually protection, a change of circumstances that forces her to pause. She may not recognize these moments as blessings, but they are shields nonetheless, soft barriers placed by Allah to ensure she does not step into something that would weigh her spirit down. These moments teach her patience, humility, and surrender, all qualities that strengthen her for what is coming next. Her setbacks also teach her detachment. She learns not to cling to outcomes so tightly that she forgets that Allah is the one who decides. She learns not to place her worth in achievements, people, or moments. She understands that if something is written for her, no force on earth can block it. And if something is not written, no amount of effort can secure it. This realization frees her from the anxiety of trying to control everything. It teaches her to work hard, but release the results. To put in effort, but leave the outcome to Allah. To love deeply, but accept endings with grace. And with each setback, she becomes wiser. She becomes more spiritually aware. She starts to recognize the patterns of divine protection. She notices how every disappointment led her to something better. How every delay brought her closer to maturity, how every rejection redirected her to a path with more light. What she once saw as obstacles, she now sees as shields. Shields that prevented heartbreak, shields that prevented regret, shields that prevented her from settling for less than what was destined for her. There are even times when she thanks Allah for the things that didn't work out. Because now she understands what she was She sees how the person she once prayed for was never meant to be part of her future. She sees how the opportunity she cried over would have taken her away from her purpose. She sees how the path she wanted would have made her forget who she is. And this realization fills her heart with profound peace. Allah didn't deny her. He protected her. This understanding also gives her the strength to face future setbacks with a different mindset. Instead of breaking down, she slows down. Instead of falling apart, she reflects. Instead of panicking, she prays. She begins to trust that if something slips from her hands, it is because Allah is freeing them to receive something better. Her life is no longer defined by fear of loss. It is defined by trust in divine timing. Setbacks no longer break her. They build her. They shape her. They purify her intentions. They push her closer to Allah. Every blocked path becomes a reminder that she is being guided. Every closed door becomes a reminder that something written for her will open effortlessly. Every disappointment becomes a reminder that Allah's plan is unfolding with perfect wisdom. So she moves forward with a heart that is not afraid of what leaves or what ends. She knows that everything that falls away is making space for what was always meant to stay. Her setbacks are not signs of failure. They are signs of divine protection. They are shields placed by the one who knows her better than she knows herself. And through them, her heart becomes stronger, her faith becomes deeper, and her path becomes clearer. Allah surrounds her with His light, making her spiritually untouchable by evil intentions. This light is not a physical glow that others can see with their eyes. It is a shield that wraps around her heart, her soul, and her inner world. It is the kind of light that cannot be dimmed by the darkness of others, no matter how hard they try. People may envy her, misunderstand her, or quietly hope for her downfall, but the light Allah places around her protects her in ways she cannot always feel, but can always trust. It guards her steps, purifies her intentions, and shields her from the effects of jealousy, malice, and hidden plot. This light is the result of her sincerity, her prayers, her patience, and her devotion to Allah when no one was watching. She may not consider herself perfect or even strong, but Allah sees the quiet battles she fights and the silent tears. He sees her efforts to do the right thing, her attempts to keep her heart soft, and her refusal to respond to cruelty with cruelty. Because of this, He places around her a spiritual protection that cannot be penetrated by the evil intentions of people. When others try to harm her, emotionally, socially, or spiritually, the harm does not reach her the way they expect. Their words lose their weight. Their schemes lose their power. Their negativity bounces off her like arrows hitting a shield of light. Allah elevates her above their attempts, not by making her invincible, but by making her untouchable in the ways that matter most. She may feel the sting, but she does not break. She may feel the pressure, but she does not collapse. She may feel the disappointment, but she does not lose herself. Her light becomes a barrier that evil cannot cross. People may speak about her behind her back, but their words do not define her. They may try to stir conflict around her, but the truth eventually surfaces and exposes their intentions. They may attempt to manipulate her emotions, but Allah gives her clarity that allows her to see through their actions. They may try to dim her spirit, but Allah strengthens. Every attempt to harm her becomes a reason for Allah to raise her rank and increase her protection. This light also makes her perceptive. She becomes sensitive to the energy, intentions, and character of people around her. She can sense insincerity even when it is hidden behind polite smiles. She can feel when someone approaches her with a clean heart and when someone approaches her with envy or deceit. This ability is not just intuition, it is guidance. Allah places light within her heart that exposes shadows around her, allowing her to walk away before the harm reaches her. She becomes spiritually alert, not suspicious, but aware in a way that preserves her peace. Being surrounded by this light does not mean she never faces hardship. It means hardship cannot ruin her. It cannot destroy her spirit. It cannot turn her heart dark or bitter. Even when she is wounded, she heals with a purity that others cannot understand. She forgives when others expect revenge. She stays gentle when others would become cold. She continues trusting Allah even when the world gives her reasons to give up. This is because her resilience comes from a divine source, one that never weakens. This light also repels people who are not meant for her. Those with heavy, dark intentions feel uncomfortable around her. They cannot manipulate her easily. They cannot drain her emotionally. They cannot attach themselves to her spiritually. Allah's light creates a natural distance between her and anyone who does not carry good intentions. She may not understand why certain people suddenly disappear, why friendships fade, why relationships don't progress. But it is often Allah's light removing what is not meant to enter her life. On the other life, those who are sincere, kind-hearted, and spiritually aligned feel drawn to her. They feel safe with her. They trust her presence with her. They respect her boundaries. Allah's light not only protects her from harm, but attracts good souls into her life. It creates an environment around her where only what is pure can remain. As she continues her spiritual journey, she realizes that this light is her greatest treasure. It protects her in silence. It fights battles she never sees. It shields her from hearts she never fully understood. It guides her toward people who uplift her and away from those who would drain her. It strengthens her when she feels weak and humbles her when she feels strong. And with this light, she becomes a woman who stands firm, not because the world is gentle, but because Allah's protection is powerful. She becomes someone whose spirit cannot be touched by envy, whose soul cannot be tainted by darkness, and whose heart cannot be corrupted by the malice of others. She walks through life wrapped in a divine armor that no human hand can break. So even when others attempt to harm her with their intentions, words, or silence, she remains surrounded by a protection that comes from above. Allah's light keeps her safe, keeps her steady, and keeps her spiritually untouchable.